the chat are familiar with Ethereal, who have been absolutely dominating MKPS. Bobby bags for them. We're coming out here on RBC3 for the first race.
Pretty
We're on
track.
board with TK64, who
Yeah.
has been playing this game since forever, currently plays for Wollywogs, and we're going to get right into this.
Yeah, definitely a highlight player on Wollywogs, communications leader, and we'll probably see him do pretty well in this lineup. He's very comfortable with these players, and having Bobby bag on top of it just gives him such an advantage.
Well, he's holding on to these triple shrooms here in 7th place. Let's see if the cut is unblocked. If it isn't, he's certainly going to be going for it. There's Nana on the cut. Will he get one of his teammates to unblock? Yes, he will. So we do see May and TK, as well as, who was that in first? It's another USA player. So USA are holding down 1-3 right now, with TK having a shroom in 3rd. And May does not have more shrooms behind Killer. Killer might be holding on to more shrooms in 1st, but we know that May isn't and TK is. So the strategy here might be to leave the cut unblocked so that these USA players can take the cut again.
We see right now Neo winning the bagging battle and a TC early coming in for TK. Only a 2.5% chance in 3rd, so pretty unlucky. But
that is unlucky, but he did get back spammed, which caused him to use his shroom. So he can say that's unlucky, but it wouldn't have happened if he hadn't have hit that back spam. And we did see May go down as well. Someone failing a low shake. Was that Leops?
Cut unblocked.
Cut is unblocked. TK's going to go shroomless.
And fails it. That's kind of a tough cut, a little inconsistent unless you get the perfect alignment for it.
Quite risky as well there, considering that there are going to be lots of players coming onto that platform with you, lots of bumps, lots of all sorts.
So unfortunately we don't have battle glitch here for TK, but he is a bit broken off in 8th here. We'll see who's winning the bagging battle up here on the straightaway. But overall, pretty tight pack overall. We see first pretty far gone, but other than that, a lot of guys in the middle, pretty close together, which is not something you always see in BC3.
It's Neo and Lost at the moment, so that would suggest that the Netherlands are more likely to pull the shock. But looking at the minimap, it doesn't seem like Neo is breaking any further away from Bobby, so he might already have it and just be trying to juke him out.
Yeah.
TK has not pulled the dodge. Yeah, that is a Netherlands shock. And I think they just used that really just so that once their players are taking cut, if they want to, cut is still blocked, but TK is not going to be able to take that, and I think he's going to be taking home 8th place this race. We saw Thomas dodge in the bill. Let's see how good that does for him, but it's hard for us to tell what the spots are at the moment. We don't have the battle glitch available.
TK just going to go into the left set, see if he can pull anything off, and we see a bottom 2 here in USA. It's going to be a good race for Netherlands.
Oh, interesting.
Bottom 3.
We saw a target pal there at the end. If you were looking at the minimap, you would have seen.
Off the bat.
Yeah, USA taking home a bottom 3, and that is a shocking first race for them. So right out the gates, Netherlands coming out very, very strong.
Neo pulling through there for Netherlands. Looks like they were able to just block the cut and do a really just easy, probably predictable. It didn't look like USA had many dodges at all, but just that's a really common shock you see on BT3. Blocking it in your top spots, dodging in the back if you can, preventing the other team from taking cut, especially in a meta now, especially this year, where the ultra cut is so common amongst these top players. That it's just a shock like that is so powerful, and you see it worked out for Netherlands really well with the top 2, 4, 5.
That is an absolutely monstrous first race, and crucially as well, top 2, 4, 5 are very strong spots as well, so they're probably going to be able to take this momentum into the next race, assuming they can get the track pick. I'm going to go ahead and say that TF is the typical track pick for top 2, 4, 5, but I mean Thomas is an AV player, as we know. And he might be vouching for Rainbow at this point. He is one of the fastest people in this room right now. And he is in 4th. He's in that drafting spot. Now we do see the typical TF coming out and GV from the Americans.
Common reset track here for both USA teams. Obviously, really big shortcut with the rock hop and lava glitch and all that. But TF coming out for Netherlands, getting their track pick with all the top spots. Should fare pretty well for them. They have a lot of fast players on this team, with Leops and Thomas especially.
Absolutely, and people talk about momentum in these kind of games, and that's not just a psychological thing. In these kind of wars, the track picks can play a huge part, especially with the spots. And as we saw, Netherlands had top 2, 4, 5. They will be starting with those spots here, and this is one of the best tracks for drafting. I'm curious to see whether the USA team will go for the bill. TK won't. He was the bottom spot. He's just going for a box
forward, which means usually indicates that his team is trying to go for the bill.
Who's back there? Leo's back there. Leo might have picked up the bill, but I think those top spots for the Netherlands, they've held them quite well. And TK is already back here. They will have been... Stain's back here as well. Yeah, absolutely. Leo is there, possibly holding the bill. We don't see him trailing or using anything at the moment. And I think this is a top 3-6 right now for the Netherlands. Killer is back here in 5th place.
Yeah, another really strong start here for Netherlands. Yeah. And that's exactly what you want to do on TF, get that early lead, break off from the pack. A lot of good back spam spots here. And with Shock being a 50-50, it's not always going to come. So it's going to pretty much benefit top spots almost every time.
Here we see Leo back. Some people using their dodges. I think we saw Leo use the Bill. Yep, he is going away there. And TK's going to pull the blue. I imagine we'll see this get thrown. Yeah, it gets thrown off the boxes. If you throw the blue too early there, it can get them in the red room. And blues in the red room are... they don't cost as much time as blues after the ramp. Mm-hmm. But we saw Leops go down at the TS ramp last lap. So I think they are... Leops is certainly back there, but I think this is still some good spots for Netherlands. We saw Leo Bill up at the start of the race.
Yeah, Netherlands at least 2-3-4 here. Shot coming in. Good old dodge for Sane, so it's a USA shot.
That's a Bill in 8th.
And a TS for Leo. So all of a sudden, USA taking control of this race, and it's a tight pack.
It's a top 2 for USA. I'm pretty confident. Yeah, Jack there in 2nd place. So
going to take Jack out.
That's going to take Jack out. Wow.
Bill, USA top spots. TK up against the wall. Going to give Mayed a little edge here.
Oh, he's not going to mega anyone. Sometimes when people hit the wall in a mega, they can mega some people. There's a blue shot coming in. This is going to get him before the ramp, but it might get him on the boost panels. If the boost panels are shifting, it might get him in the mud. So this might be crucial. But again, TK is not able to get a good spot.
And 6-8 for USA. We'll see what the other top spots were, but
I think this is going to be a reasonably mixed race.
Yeah,
USA had the spots at the end of lap 3.
Netherlands did a really good job of just dismantling their top spots right after Shot came, so props to them. They did a really nice job there, but looks like it's probably going to be a neutral race. Get the results.
Saw there, the Shock ended up being absolutely critical because the Netherlands were running away in the top 3. We saw Leo use the Bill early on. Wow. Sane pulled another one in 8th. Oh, wow. Oh, I wasn't expecting that. There's a top 3 there for Netherlands, and despite the Shock, despite everything going on, that bomb on Jack turned out to be crucial. And the blue as well, because what are they, blue Sane on lap 3?
Yeah.
So there, that blue at the end, I mean, as I was saying, that spot to get blued can either be really good or really bad, because it can, as those, what they call bulldozers are moving, you can either get in the mud or you can get on the boost panel. It seems that the blue was really bad for Sane because Netherlands took home a top 3, and we'll see what track they're going to pick. Once again, we talk about momentum in these wars. They've taken their top 2, 4, 5, and they've turned it into a top 3.
Yeah.
And they're going to have those spots again.
Netherlands have been playing the pack really strong these past few races, holding their top spots as well. Just, they're doing everything right so far. Even with that Shock and 9th from Bobby there. Just really controlling the game so far.
And the Bill in 8th, yeah. Like, even with all that going on, they've done really well to be rigid and to hold down those spots, despite everything that USA West threw at them that race. Of course, we did see a blue shell that turned out to be critical from the Netherlands at the end. But even with those quite nice items, that Bill in 8th from Sane was obtained quite quickly after Leo was out of his. Mm-hmm. And it didn't manage to do anything for him as a result of that blue. Moving on to GV here, Grumble Volcano. This is a USA pick, undoubtedly. Hoping to reset the spots after those top 3s.
Yeah, top 3 starting spots, not going to do too much for Netherlands here, obviously, because shrooms are just so important. TK pulling pretty much the best item you can get in that middle spot.
Jackpot, yeah. Killer's using a mega. And already we see a 2-3-4. Yeah. Interesting to see that so many Netherlands players chose to drop, hoping to get those triple shrooms, but hasn't worked out all that well for them. As we can see, TK has these shrooms. He's going to be careful not to bump Killer here or to get bumped himself, but he makes the rock very graciously.
Both baggers shrooming back at the same time. Only one made it all the way back. One failed the strat. Going to have to chain block to the 9th now, so one of the baggers way up there. Switching over to Leops here, building up. And a blue coming out.
TK will be dodging that blue, I imagine. He had the 2 shrooms in first not long ago. And it's interesting to see Leops using that bill. Often people choose to hold the bills when they get them in 8 so that their bagger has a better chance of getting shot. But the bill is really not all that useful on Grumble Volcano. So he's opted to use
Whoever
it.
That was
see Jack going for cut. Early shock
it.
here. Yes, that was a USA shock. They've dodged their top 2, TK and Jack, in the cut. A lot of 2 shocks are sometimes risky, but we do see Bobby there at the boxes. So it was Bobby who failed the backwards strat at the start, and Neo... Sorry, excuse me. That was Bobby's shock.
Yeah.
It looked like he pulled that in 9th though, so they might have just chosen to use an early one. Yeah, we see
really
Neo there by the boxes. Yeah, that's really interesting. That surprised me.
The top 2 is pretty useful. As we see, they're way gone now up there in first and second. And any top 2 in a suicide war is, in fact, a winning race. So,
but if anyone's going to get shock, it's much more likely to be the Netherlands. See May getting backspammed here on Leops' POV. Top 3 for USA, but if they have shock, they're certainly going to get Killer out here, and they might be able to salvage 3-4. But if they don't have shock, this will be a top 3 for USA West.
And they did, but Leops looks like he might have failed the drop down. Still going to pass Killer, but this is a strong race for USA.
Still a 3-4, okay. So I stand corrected by that first shock. I'm interested that USA West chose to use that, because they had top 2 taking cut. Bobby, as we saw, failed the backward strat at the start and then pulled the shock in 9th. And they chose to use it despite the fact that the Netherlands baguette was so far in 10th. And as we saw, Neo was able to pull another shock on the last lap and dodge his teammates. So it's an interesting strategy.
Well, when it pays off really well. Big race there for USA.
Yeah.
Exactly what they were looking for.
They really needed that, yeah. I'm curious as to whether holding that shock would have been better, though, because it looked like once that top 2 was taking cut, they might have already had those spots locked down, considering they were holding shock. Maybe they could have done more with it. Maybe they could have dodged their bottom spots on lap 3. Maybe pulled out a bigger race.
Yeah, a lot of
Let us know your thoughts in the chat. What do you think about that shock?
A lot of different things they could have done there, but that's definitely the safest thing I think they could have done.
Okay.
Because they were just so far up there by that point. And it's still early in the match, and it is obviously a best-of-3 series, so plenty of time for them to come back, even if it is just a winning race by only a bit.
I mean, we can all sit here and speculate, but when you've got top 2 with Shrooms on Grumble Volcano and you've got the shock, it is very tempting just to lock down those top 2 spots. And that's what they chose to do, and as we saw, the Netherlands players weren't able to catch them, so it is a very attractive option just to hold those top 2 spots and then let your remaining players do what they can, but maybe if they'd have been more greedy, they could have got a better shock.
Well, they're going to get their pick here with their top 2. Moonview Highway, obviously known as one of the strongest front-running tracks, so we should see TK want to hold this first as long as he can, and Netherlands trying to just shroom up early.
Something to note, TK will have to get out of the way here and not let 4th draft. That's why he chose to swerve to the right there, just to stop the Netherlands player in 4th from drafting up. And that wasn't possible, so USA West are breaking out into a top 2 here, Jack and TK respectively, Leops in 3rd. And a lot of the time we see players back the bomb car here. If TK pulls a green, he most certainly will do that, but he pulls a fib. Sane is quite close now in 4th, and it seems like Leops was taken out, so this is a top 3 here for USA West. And they've done very well to hold on to their spots and gain some more.
Yeah, really well played that beginning there, preventing the draft from 4th place, and then on top of it, getting Jack to draft TK. Just overall really well played.
Really textbook. I believe we're seeing a top 4 here. Killer may go down to, yeah, he has to dive into a truck to avoid a red, but this is a top 3 here for USA West. Leo streaming up.
Still
next to a bomb car.
Top 5. If Netherlands is able to get the shock and maybe a mega in one of these 2 spots, it can definitely shake up the race quite a bit, but you see the bagging battle really tight right now. Tough to see who's going to be able to pull it.
It's an interesting
Neo hitting a car and Bobby chaining a star in 10th. So Bobby getting the 10th place box here, breaking away now. Leo with this TC in 4th is really unfortunate.
Can I just say how Leops here in 5th had competition from the yellow car. These USA runners are going so fast right now. Usually first place has trouble from that yellow car on lap 2, but they were way too fast for it. So it's really a testament to their running power, really. They are just running away with this, and we see that top 3 is broken away. I'm not sure what happened to Leo and Leops, but I think USA are going to have a hard time losing these spots.
Control of this race.
Yeah, look at this. The bomb car and the truck, and they are just way too fast.
Yeah, when you see patterns like this, that's how you know you're way ahead.
Look at this. Who's this in first?
Finishing at
149 for Jack in first place. That is incredible. Top 2, 149 and 151 respectively.
Looks like Bobby was just able to get it and hold it, which is pretty much a dream situation for a lot of teams. When you're just great spots, you don't even have to use shock.
I mean, it's difficult for Netherlands to compete when they've got USA West players running and setting times like that online. No blue shells, no powers, no shocks. They started with top 2 and they finished with top 2, so very convincing race. They are certainly taking no prisoners. Let's see what other spots they were able to pull.
They wanted it. And that's going to make the GP finishing up pretty tight, actually. Despite 2 huge races from Netherlands, they're still going to have the lead, but USA not out of it yet by any means.
I'm curious what happened to Sane, because I thought we were seeing a really solid top 3 break. I'm not sure if he hit car or got trolled or something like that. But I think I was in the process of saying it would be really hard for them to lose these spots, but it looks like Sane went flying somehow. Let's have a look at the score here.
Yep.
Yes, this is a
score update here.
Plus 16, 130 to 114 to the Netherlands. So an interesting first GP. I am really curious, actually. Please do post in the chat who you think is going to win this match, or this series rather, because I don't know. I think, as I said, USA West is probably the obvious pick, but Netherlands have proved very, very strong in the run-up to this quarterfinal match, in the run-up to the tournament, in fact.
Yeah, they slay out and scrim from what I've seen. They do a great job against pretty much any team.
I mean, I can say that from personal experience. In UK, we've had a hard time beating them. I think we're 1-2 against them.
Yeah.
But they are nothing to sneeze at, really.
USA might have the bigger names, but this NL team is very familiar with high division gameplay.
Absolutely.
Leo in KG used to be an Avail member, and Thomas, longtime Avail member, obviously. Very good T tier. Leops, member of Metro Wipeout, one of the top 2 teams in the league. And yeah, just really overall, just great players. May on Kinatala Gaming.
May is a really good pack player.
Really
honestly,
no weak spot
looking
here.
At this lineup, yeah, absolutely. I think Leops really is. I mean, people talk about the best players in the game at the moment, people like Jeff and Xander, but really, I think Leops is, if not at the moment, one of the top 5 war players. I think he absolutely will be in times to come. And Leo,
yeah, he's definitely.
If I remember anything about him if I remember anything about Leo as well, it's that he would make some outrageous plays when he was playing for AV. He is a smart guy, and he can really hold his own. Anyway, GP2 starting here, we see TK starting off, and he's going to bag very hard for a box, going for that 8th place box, going for the golden, and he is not able to pull one. He balls a start, and who's this behind him? This is Leo. So already we're seeing some bottom spots here for NL. Where's this bottom?
Really that only front presence up there.
Yeah, and TK is going to be holding this star. Curious to see whether he'll try and stop start on the thin path after the Wiggler section, excuse me, the pokey section, or whether he'll just choose to take this through Ultra, or whether he'll choose to hold it for a shock. He really has his options wide open right now. And he can sit quite pretty knowing that his teammates are occupying a lot of those front spots.
TK holding the star, but we did see one bagger just fall off there with the bill, and I think that's going to be Neo in 10th. Didn't see who it was there, but I'm almost certain that is Netherlands bagger in 10th place, so pretty big advantage here, even though NL is bottom spots. We'll be able to catch up with a well-used shot, but TK holding one of the stars could mix things up.
Well, we saw Leo go down there. A few seconds ago, we saw May throw a blue shell, so presumably USA were in first, but we see Thomas now is occupying that first position. We are on board with May right now. So this is a 1-3 for the Netherlands. I think that blue shell really did make a difference because the Netherlands are now in top 2 when they were bottom 3 to start off the race. We see a shock that might have been TK dodging with that star that we saw him holding. No, I stand corrected, it's Leops. And that's interesting that they chose to shock there, given that they were top 2. But they've chosen to go for it all, and now they have a top 2-5. May's holding on to this
6th place Mega here, and I think that Neo is still 10th by a lot, so a last second shock is not out of the question here for the Netherlands.
I wouldn't be relying on a shock if I was May. I think I'd just be holding this to take cut at the end, but keeping in the back of my mind that the shock will be available at the end of the race. I expect he'll chain it here, he misses the box, and that might be crucial. This is May we're on board with. Will he be able to pass Sane? No, Sane is close to Shrooms.
So
what happened to Sane?
Netherlands able to hold on there. Not sure, might have been affected by that POW a bit, maybe unexpectedly, but yeah, overall another strong race for Netherlands. Able to get the shock and holding that first place that we saw Thomas up there pretty much the entire time after that blue shell came in.
I really like that call from the Netherlands. They've chosen to use the shock there, and even though they were top 2, a lot of the time teams, when they have the top spots, they will hold the shocks. They will play it safe, they'll try and preserve their top spots, and they won't use a shock that can jeopardize the safety of those top spots. But I really like when teams use a shock that the other team isn't predicting to try and enhance their top spots, to try and get a massive race.
Yeah.
I really like to see that. It's really interesting. They've chosen to do that there. Leops took cut in a star, and that secured him first place. We saw did cause some trouble for their other runners. I believe it was Thomas and May in those top 2 spots, but they ended up getting a very good race, or a very solid race at that. And when they're up by, what were they, up 16 going into this race, they really just need to sort of chip away and keep getting decent races. Not letting their guard down.
Not even halfway through yet, but Netherlands really showing how strong they can be. And pretty much have done everything right so far. Getting their pick on top of it, DK Mountain. And with top spots, tier is going to be really strong, especially with Leops up there.
Top spots, particularly, as you say, Leops in first place. This is the MW Classic pick. I know from warring with Xander that Xander, Leops, Barney, they are all monsters at this track. And this is the sort of track where if you've TT'd it a bit, if you've worked out your lines and you've sorted yourself out, you can really break away. It's one of those tracks that people don't really TT, especially with Funky. This is primarily a Daisy track, but we don't see any Daisies in this pack, so I expect to see Leops break away. Already we're seeing
USA is able to adjust to this, but we're seeing a lot of bottom spots for them.
Who's this who's gone down? Someone got taken out there, but we see 3-4 for USA. I expect that Leops will still be in first, but we do see some Netherlands members back here. We saw Thomas. Spot. Yeah, exactly. What was it? Thomas, Leo, and May, who we're on board with right now in last place. Is that someone falling off? Someone in 8th place by a long way. Leo goes down, and TK has these reds. May's going to chance it, I think, and is going to try and shrimp past. He'll have to block a red from... And he goes straight into the fib. So TK there. The pressure from the red shell caused May to go into that fib, and they're holding onto a POW now.
POW can do a lot of damage on this track especially. We see right in the middle of the track there, all those big loopy turns, a target POW is just so easy to call on any of them. So we see Leops in first here might be getting the worst end of it.
Yeah, might be about to eat this POW here. Yeah, they choose to use it there. I'm not sure about that spot, to be honest. That was a spot, I think they used it a little bit too late. Yeah. They didn't get him on the hairpin, they got him about there, as we see on TK's screen now. And I think that's the sort of spot where he's already slowing down for the cut, and I'm not sure that's done as much as it could do. Bomb snipe here has taken out May, only slightly though. But Leops is really dominating this race with that 5 to 10 second breakaway in first. He is really quite comfortable with his lines, and despite that power on lap 2. Curious to see if there'll be a shot coming in. I don't think there will be. We still see both of those baggers sitting on the ramp.
And we see Nail leaving, so we could have a Netherlands shock. TK holding the Mega, obviously. He's going to try to prevent something happening, but with this Netherlands shock, they can maybe salvage some middle spots.
And when do you think Netherlands will shock? Given that they've got Leops in first.
They're just going to protect the first and get anything they can get after, but might not have any dodges.
We're seeing a 3-4-5. This is the top 2.
This Mega's only going to let TK pass his own teammates, and it's probably still going to be a 2-4-5 for USA West, but...
Yeah, so that was sort of a last-ditch, last-minute panic shock from Netherlands. I think they really just got themselves into boxes. We saw Leops in first, holding that down like a champion. But the rest of their spots were sort of floundering around in bottom spots. I'm not sure they had any dodges, so I think we are going to see a 2-3-4-5 for USA West.
USA played that really well, able to really establish some spots early. Obviously, Leops was able to just break away, but getting everything else after that, really important for them. And tightening that lead. Gotta do it here with only 6 left.
Yeah, they've done very well there. I think having a player like Leops starting in first place on DK Mountain, which is one of, I imagine, his strongest running tracks, without a blue or some POWs or a shock, you're going to have trouble. You're going to have trouble getting him out there. So the fact that they've got 2-5 on that race, they've really done quite well. And that's a very convincing winning race for them.
Pretty much cutting their lead in half. So West on the come up here, halfway through. Obviously, this is a best of 3, so we'll be seeing a match after this no matter what the result is. But I'm sure both teams want to take this match 1 because having that momentum going into the rest of the series is just so important.
Absolutely. When you're 1-0 down in a series, as I'm sure Mac will know from his experience just earlier today, you are sort of walking on eggshells, really. There's nowhere to hide. You have to win both of those 2 matches to stay in the competition.
You got to keep your strong mentality that I'm sure a lot of these players have and utilized over the years, but
We're seeing a reset track here. Leops has picked MC3. This is a Netherlands pick. So they're trying to sort out this race for their bottom spots. And this is... USA are going to have to think about how they use their spots starting off here. They've got 2 through 5. They won't want to all run. They'll want someone to sit back and stop the Netherlands players from getting some boxes in the bottom spots. Already we see a surprising number of people from the Netherlands going forwards. We see Leops, May and Thomas all going forwards. So that leaves Leo, I believe, to be sitting for a box in 8th place.
Ooh,
let's see what he pulls. Laggy fib there, but TK's got some shrooms, so he'll be able to recover. And who do we have in first? We have Leops in first, so 1-3 here for Netherlands after TK shrooms into second. Leops going some wide shrooms. Thomas is going to throw some nanas up here, I imagine. TK goes wide to predict. Thomas got a draft. Wow, interesting.
So his main priority here should be trying to get Leops a lead with this, and it looks like he's doing a pretty good job. We see Leops able to break away just a little bit, but someone is shrooming up in second, so top 2
TK just
tight.
surrendered his spot there.
Now just on. Shell coming out. We'll see who's going to be first after this. Shot coming in. That's surely a USA shot, canceling the blue.
Oh, interesting. What happened to Leops? We saw there at the start of lap 2 that Leops was in first, and Thomas had the TC, so I'm surprised that Jack was in first. I would have thought that Leops was still holding that position down, but we saw a Netherlands shock, or do we think it was a USA shock cancelling the blue?
May dodged it, but it did cancel the blue pretty much perfectly.
Could go either way, could go either way. TK's got a power here in 5th. He's going to be using this. I don't think he's particularly target powering anyone there. Killer goes down, so that power might not have been good for him. He didn't get a box. He just got a red shell in 4th. And Leops and Thomas are both in Megas here. They're going to drive through this bomb. And Sane is billing up. Another bill in 8th for Sane. Pulls him 4th place. DK getting 7th here.
USA, so looks like Netherlands able to take another race from them.
Well, this is interesting to see. Who do we think used that shock in the chat? Do you think that that was a USA West shock to cancel Jack's blue on lap 2? Or did May dodge in a mega because he called that shock? What do you guys think? Whatever happened, it was a very, very, very strong race for the Netherlands. 1-3-5-6.
It definitely could have gone either way there. Maybe it might have been just a panic shock from Netherlands with the May last frame of his mega.
Perhaps,
easily gotten that first place like he did.
Well, it's interesting to see that even on that track, even if it was the Netherlands shock, they chose to use it on lap 2 and dodge 1 player, and even if it was a USA West shock, they chose to cancel a lap 2 blue. So either way, interesting use of the shock, whoever's it was. Normally on a sort of track like that, you'd try to hold your dodgers, chain them sort of 2nd or 3rd set, and get all those bottom spots coming up into top spots on the last lap. So an interesting use of the shock. I'm really curious who called that. Very confusing race, to say the least.
Either way, it worked out for Netherlands there.
Absolutely. And they've got quite a convincing lead now. Was it something in the 30s?
A little over 20 here for Netherlands. So
21
Still
points.
Anyone's game, but...
We're going to be on board here with a 64.
And that no-stop box, triple shrooms.
Triple shrooms, that has paid off for him. And he is smooth sailing now. I believe Leops has taken cut behind him, likely with triple shrooms as well. And was this Killer who shroomed fast?
I believe
he'll probably have a golden.
There
it was a USA member, and he shroomed again. So I believe Killer used a golden, and will now have the opportunity to get boxes. TK we saw use one of his shrooms after pulling a bad draft, but I believe Leops is holding shrooms as well, as we saw him take cut, and he hasn't used anything since. So Killer itemless in first, TK holding 1 shroom in second, and Leops, we believe, holding 2 shrooms in third.
Now, assuming Leops does have those shrooms, TK is just going to take the shortcut here, despite the shroom in first being able to dodge the blue.
He has to.
And yeah, we see Leops taking cut, so definitely the right play there from TK. And he's going to hold this first, and it should be a pretty strong lead for the rest of this race, just barring any blue shells. But Leops with that shroom in second.
TK is in quite a powerful position right here because he's taken cut 2 of the 3 laps. So Leops will probably think that TK is holding another shroom in first, and that might give him the opportunity to pull out some back spams on these Netherlands members. Unfortunately, Leops hits a hedge in second, and he's now going to be chaining his shroom after getting redded to a red shell in 5th. So I think he'll be kicking himself for that one.
Yeah,
TK has a very strong lead in first.
Top 3 for USA.
Yeah. It's going to be a blue connecting, but he has such a nice lead. Unless Leo's chaining a Mega. Okay, so he will take cut. Will we see a shot coming in? No, interesting. So I think if Netherlands had the shot, they would absolutely have used it there. Another blue shell coming in, so that's 2 blues now for Netherlands. Oh, it's interesting that Saint dodges it.
And Netherlands with 2-4 could come down to the wire here. Super tight pack in top 5.
Well, if we didn't see a Netherlands shock at the start of the lap, we might see a USA shock late on here. Someone with a TC, I believe that is Leo. Yes, it is. And a green going to be reflecting off the wall. TK does well to get out of the way. There's a fib last turn, and I think the spots remain quite mixed. Or maybe not. It looks like Leo and Thomas getting 6-7.
With Jack getting
and was
last,
May there as well.
It is a bit more even than we thought, but
either way, I don't think it was a particularly strong race for either team. I'm really interested to see like how USA West were just holding down their spots. We did see Leops fail and hit the hedge at the end of lap 2, but even with those 2 blue shells, same dodged the blue on lap 2. They really deserve a good race, a 1-3-4 here, so 8th place is going to hold them back a little bit, but that is a very strong race for them, and crucially, as we say, these spots, the momentum of these kind of races, unfortunately that's not going to work for them. They're not going to be able to start the next race with 1-3-4 because that is the end of the GP, so they'll be starting the next race with those mixed spots.
It's not going to make a huge difference, obviously 1-3-4 versus 1-3-5. It takes out the possibility of drafting spots, but other than that, still the same amount of front presence really. And going into GP3, we got a nail-biter.
Remember, ladies and gentlemen, this is still the first match in the series. This is a best of 3 for the quarterfinals here at the MK World Cup 2020. If you've just joined us, it is between Team Netherlands and Team USA West. And going into GP3 of the first match, Netherlands have a 12-point lead over USA West. And I would say, apart from a few races, I think Netherlands are really the stronger team. They seem to have a lot of that frontal presence a lot of the time, and we've seen USA having to pull out some shocks and bills and 8ths and blues and things like that just to get back into those top spots. I'm really impressed by the sort of how Netherlands have held their own against these very, very strong, very experienced war players.
Well, after that Gardens, I think the momentum is in USA's favor, and this Maple Treeway pick that is really strong for their 1-3, and really honestly could go either way for me right now. Obviously Netherlands with the lead still, but these are 2 really good teams. It's just going to come down to who can perform under pressure.
And the pressure is well and truly on. As we say, this first match is absolutely critical for getting the momentum, getting the first mark in the scorebook, so to speak. And with this coming down to the last GP, as we say again, Netherlands having a 12-point lead. Maple Treeway here is going to be good for, I believe, USA are hosting this war, so they'll be starting in 1-3. We're likely to see third hop in the Kart here. The strategy there, if you're not familiar with this track, is for third place to go shroomless and just drive through the dirt, and then pull a box in a low spot, and then use the boost panels to hold it back into a higher spot. So I believe it was Killua who we saw start in third place. He is likely holding a lower place box. I think we did see him shroom there, so he might be holding some more shrooms. Leops is still holding down second place, and I imagine the host of this room is still holding down first.
Whatever it is, one of the baggers and maybe give Bobby a bit of a lead there, get a box in 10. But overall, looks like some pretty mixed spots. 4-5 here for USA as well as second.
There was the Netherlands player, I think, got bumped off the bridge. Who are we seeing in first? Yeah, so TK.
Yeah, bottom 3 for Netherlands, so unless Leops is up in first, this is really strong spots.
We did see Leops. He was in a top 3 spot. He was in second, I think, last time we saw him. Oh, and a red shell.
And yeah, there he is in second place. Failing the jack strat, though. Going to be a top 2 here for USA. And unless Netherlands gets shocked, this is looking like a pretty bad race for them.
And Jack, ironically, pulling off the jack strat very well. So some solid spots coming in for USA. We're seeing a top 3 here. Jack, Killua, and TK, if I'm not mistaken. Not sure we have the battle glitch available with May, but whatever is happening, we do have some very strong spots here for USA. Yeah, that's right. So a blue shell coming in for Jack, but it's going to get him in the tree, so that's not going to be too bad for him. No, it has got him afterwards, and TK gets a fib off on May and Thomas. So two of them there. They were on the boost panel, so they'll be able to recover it. I'm not sure. I think the Netherlands might have shock. I think the Netherlands might have shock.
No shot coming in for the cannon.
The reason I said that was because May didn't choose to take cut with his shroom, so I thought he might have been hanging back from the USA members in order to use a shock in the cannon, as I'm sure you're all aware.
3-4 for Netherlands, able to break into that top 3, even address a little bit, but this top 2 is still very strong for USA. Unless Netherlands is able to TS their top 2, target shock them off, but right now it's looking like all USA.
Yeah, slightly slow line here. A leaf pile.
Leops is off.
Well, that's on Leops' part. I mean, I don't think he should have gone up for the box. That might have been accidental, and that put him within range to get sniped by that leaf pile and bumped off. May is going to pull a blue shell, but it's going to be too little too late. I think USA have run away in a top 2-4 here, and we do see a shot coming in at the end, but I wouldn't be surprised if that was USA just holding that shock. Sane is in 7th place, but I believe this is a top 2-4-7 for Team USA West.
Yeah, and
that taking the lead
might give them the lead. So tides are turning here in GP3. I think that is enough for West to take the lead, and just overall super well played, able to hold those top spots the entire time. Luckily for them, no shock in play, but yeah, top 2-4-7, really well done by them.
So USA started with 1-3-5 on that race, and they were able to hold those spots. Jack, as we saw, is, I believe, hosting this room, and we did see him take a blue shell, but he was still able to hold on to 4th place, so a very, very strong race here. And these spots, as I'm sure we're aware in the chat, are very good for drafting, very good for starting on those front-run heavy tracks, so I'm curious to see what kind of track they pick.
TF and Moonview both already played one of the two of the more popular tracks for these spots, so maybe see Bowser's Castle or Rainbow Road.
I expect we'll see BC Wii, Bowser's Castle, but personally, I think I'd like to see Goldmine. Where does Goldmine come out in these spots? Same can go up for the box. Here. Okay, we see a more safe sort of drafting track here in RBC. This is sort of like the typical drafting track. So if you've got the 1 and the 4, usually this is the typical track to pick. Netherlands are going for Sherbetland and Caster's Curse. We are going to see Sherbetland get picked here. And Sherbetland is a good track to pick when you occupy maybe 1st but not 4th, because it's impossible for 4th to draft at the start, and if they do, they go into the wall. So this is quite a common pick for sort of top 2 with some middling spots, but not 4th. If you have 4th, you're more likely to pick a sort of drafting heavy track, but already we see TK doing well to hold on to 1st place so far. Killua is dropping down into 3rd place, and a green shell snipe from Leo. That is very, very nice. That will get rid of TK.
He was able to golden up here early and take that lead. Goldens here first set are just so strong, especially if the pack stays tight early.
Absolutely. Especially with the off-road nature of the track.
Yeah,
who is this in last? I hope TK looks behind. If he hasn't looked behind, I might be safe to assume that this is a USA member in last.
And it is. So bottom 2 for USA. TK opting to hold this golden.
Who is it we're looking at? Yeah, as you say, that Goldens are very strong on this track because the ice, as I'm sure we're all familiar with, is off-road. So Shrooms and Golden Shrooms particularly tend to go a very long way. I believe Netherlands are holding down a lot of the top spots as a result of that green snipe from Leo early on, which really got TK in an uncomfortable spot on that hairpin bend. Thomas goes down to a bomb snipe from TK there, but we see Leops in 1st, Sane in 2nd, May in 3rd, and Leo in 4th. So a 1-3-4 here for Team Netherlands. And on a spread out pack, I think USA West are going to have a tough time pulling back some spots, even with a shock.
So the bagging battle is super split up. Not sure who's 9th and who's 10th. Look, you just see
that was Neo in 10th just there, yeah. Well, I think either way, I think TK is doing the right thing, sort of hanging back in this bottom spot, stopping Netherlands from getting dodge items and pulling a dodge himself, hopefully, to predict a Netherlands shock, if we're expecting one. Which, given that Neo was in 10th last time we saw it, we might be comfortable to assume. TK is going to throw a blue that will connect with Leops.
Falling down, and Sane's going to get blued.
Oh, what a nice play.
And combo.
What a nice play there.
So this is a top 2-4 for Netherlands. Jack, the only front presence here. Bobby looks like he's still getting boxed. He could have a Netherlands shock as well. We did see Neo pretty much in last place.
And the risk with stopping there, that's a very nice play from Leops to stop there and let Zane take the blue, but what that does do is bunch the pack right up, so if we do see a shock here, it will likely change the spots drastically.
And this looks like a top 3 for Netherlands, maybe top 4 if he's able to hold it.
Look at that. And he's done such a good job there.
If we can see,
I mean, whatever happens, he's got...
check his timer, but we got
a photo finish. We've got 717 here. But May's done such a good job there. We saw him on the last turn getting redded. He had one revolving red around him and threw it back. So TK has beaten May by less than 1/10 of a second. But regardless, a top 3-5 and with 2 races to go, Netherlands were
down by 5,
I believe.
And this is going to give them the lead.
They're going to have a chunky lead going into the last 2 races. And I think Netherlands really played that well. We saw Leops in first. They called out the blue. The blue came from far back, so Leops had plenty of time to stop and let Zane take it. May had to slow down as well, but once Zane got blued, Leops and May broke into that top 2 with Leo in 4th, Jack in 3rd in his Mega, but then they removed Jack. I believe he got shelled or something, and then redded on the last turn, and May was able to play defensive with his triple reds at the end, block a red shell, and they've really worked very, very well there as a team, and they've taken home a massive race, which is going to have this USA West lineup in all kinds of tangles going into the last 2 races.
Yeah, super well played all around by them, and this top 3 not only gives them a huge winning race, but puts them in great positions for next race. Starting spots, they have a lot of options here. BCW, one of the highlights. See what they go with. USA going with Delfino Square as a little bit of a reset track, but yeah, BCW, as we can see from the Netherlands, pretty obvious pick.
BCW is another one of those tracks where your top spots are likely to stay your top spots. It's a good front run heavy track, but crucially, if you don't have 4th, it's still not a bad track to pick, because if 4th drafts at the start, they tend to go flying off of that ramp and lose quite a lot of time. So it's quite a popular pick for top 3 and something like top 2-5 as well when you don't have 4th. But once again, Casters Curse, we are here on Delfino Square.
See what TK tries to do here. We see
TK
Swerve coming out from first place Leops, and TK able to get the draft a little bit later anyway, so going to be that front presence here early for USA.
So some early spots here for USA, but it's really, I think Delfino Square starts to shape up after the first lap. After we see people taking double, pulling their dodges, we really start to see what's what, who's front running, who's holding a dodge, particularly where the baggers are as well. Leops here choosing to block the dock. TK does very well to predict that and take the slightly scuffed dock jump to avoid the fib. And as we can see, a lot of people taking the cut. TK going for a snipe, but he's going to pull a bomb in 5th, and we'll see what he does with that. We see Jack there ahead.
His teammate behind him might just try to get Leops here on this upward straight, and he does, and he's going to connect. It's a nice little toss there by TK. 4-5 for USA, and I'm sure at least one of the other top spots. Blue coming out from the back. See if we can get a look at who connects on him, but Jack now in 3rd, Leops in 7th.
Killer with a TC in 6th, that's going to cause him some problems unless he can give it to a teammate to avoid it. Otherwise he's just, I think we see on the minimap there, he's just shocked himself into boxes, and even though he's shocked, he might not be able to take double, so he's going to have a hard time catching up. TK is slagging with a Mega there, as we can see. It's a nice play from him. I don't think he's able to take anyone down. But the slagging from TK there in 5th place sort of implies that USA are comfortable with the spots that they have right now. Leops is holding a Mega in 5th place.
Looks like
Who do we see in 10th here? We're about to see, I believe that's Bobby. Bobby is in last, so might be the case that USA are holding the shot. They are in 1st place. Dane is holding that position down, and Jack is in 3rd. So a 1-3 here for USA.
The brutal power is
going to be critical. Tries to hop dodge it, but he's not able to get that off. We see those triple shrimps lying on the ground. The double cut that never was. USA are holding down their spots now as a result of that power. A 1-3 for them now.
Here, but the shot comes in, and TK going to dodge and stick. So this is going to be a pretty big race for USA.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, we saw Leo, I believe, get shock credit, or he might have avoided it. Is TK going to be able to get 2nd place?
He is.
It's going to be difficult with that stuff there. Yes, he does.
Zane able to hold that top spot pretty much throughout the entire race.
It's really going to go down to the last race here in this first war. This first heat here. We'll let you know the score as soon as we have it to hand, but either way, it's going to be very, very tight between these two teams, and it's really gone back and forth. We saw USA West were down, I believe, 12 going into this race. They had a good race, so they had Netherlands on the ropes. Netherlands pulled a top 3-5 on Sherbetland, and now USA West have pulled out a top 2-4. So the scores have really gone back and forth, and I believe we're having some transmission problems, but we will see the scores of this race. Yeah, a top 2-4-7-9 for USA West.
This is really going to come down to the last race. Still think it's enough for Netherlands to have a lead, but USA putting on a lot of pressure, and like we said, with these starting spots, there's a lot of options for them.
I believe you're right. Yeah, that top 3-5 was really dominant the last race. They were up 22 going into that last race, so they now have a point difference of 5 points lead for Team Netherlands, which really is anyone's game. I mean, 5 points is a nice little cushion to have, but if you win a race, often you win it by more than 5. So we'll be going into this last race here. USA West are going to be holding the top 2-4 positions. I expect they'll pick BC Wii, Bowser's Castle. No, I stand corrected. They will pick Retro N64 Bowser's Castle for those drafting spots. Longest track in the game. I imagine they back themselves to run that. Curious to see what Team Netherlands will pick. I imagine some kind of reset track. They're taking their time deciding. Oh, interesting. KC. Okay. So KC is a good track for sort of neutral spots. And this track pick is really crucial here.
TK starting up in second place. See if he swerves a little bit, prevent a draft. But Netherlands starting in fifth. Don't want them to have any front presence really early, and looks like he's going to get bumped a bit there. 8th place box, triple shrooms. So 4, 5, 6 for Netherlands, middle spots mostly. We'll see Leo with the triple reds, Jack with the triple reds as well. See if anything connects, and Leo is able to get the better of that engagement. And first place for Netherlands, but 2-3 for USA. See if they're able to crack that first anytime soon. But Sidewood not going to connect, it looks like. Sane still second place. And a 1-3-5 for Netherlands. Leop's goldening up. Going to get back by TK, barely stays on the track.
So I believe we're seeing some, what are we seeing? Some strong spots from Netherlands here. I think we were seeing a 1-3-4 or something like that. I think Thomas was in first, and we see Leo and Leops up there as well. So already Netherlands.
USA as well. May holding the blue for a bit, doesn't want to show his hand to kill us.
And this item for here, we saw Sane go down as well. Will TK get redded? Oh, he might do. He's done very well to block those reds on the thwomps, but even so, a 1-3 for Team Netherlands. And when they've already got the 5-point lead going into this race, they really just need to hold down some of the top spots and just get a sort of neutral race to win this war. TK's going to be taking the cut here, but Thomas already has a very convincing lead in first, as we can see. I'm not sure if he pulled shrooms or something early on, but he's doing very well. We see him back at green, so there's no shrooms in first for Thomas.
See Bobby falling off, so not a USA West shock at least yet. And Mayo just sitting up there at first set could indicate that he's just holding shock there. But a little tough to tell right now. Doesn't look like he's chaining any Bakos. We'll see what he looks like up here. And he's going forwards now. So maybe staying in the pack or staying in the pack so they don't, hit him, or Bobby can't accidentally troll when he comes up to him. But
yeah, we see him getting out of the way.
I
think Neo is holding shock. Sometimes baggers will drive in front of races if they're holding a star to drop, but Neo was driving in front of TK, which would suggest he's not holding a star to drop, and it's in fact holding shock. But we may be wrong about that. Thomas backing a Nana on the Superman there, as it's known. And really, these spots are going to be good for Netherlands. Yeah, if they can hold these down. May is about to chain a star.
Chaining a star.
Oh, Blue Shell coming in. This will take out Thomas. So TK, if we go back on board with TK, he's going to have to do something here to get Thomas out of first place with this blue.
And it looks like he might just be able to pass.
Oh, Thomas is backing up on the rail.
And
so TK getting first place.
For NL.
2-3 for Netherlands.
If USA able to get the backup spots, but it doesn't look like
I don't think they can. I don't think that's enough. But either way, it's going to be very close. What was Thomas doing there on the rail? It looked like he got blued and then was backing up off the rail, but because of how broken away those top spots were, I think he's still able to take home second place. Either way, this is going to be very close. I do believe, I might stand corrected, but I think Netherlands have won this, yeah.
And we did see Neo getting 9th place, so that's going to be an extra point for them as well. And I think that should be enough.
Even race. I think this is a -1 or -3, but I don't think this is enough for USA. They really weren't able to break those top spots. They started with the top 2 for the drafting spots, and within a lap, they were down to just 2nd place out of the top 4, so...
Did a great job of breaking in there even without shock, but TK showing up, GP3 not able to get that support from the rest of his teammates, it looks like, but overall, really strong GP for them, and that is...
Yeah, so that was a +1 race for Team Netherlands, a +6 war for Team Netherlands, so they're going to take the first match in this best-of-3 series by a deficit of 6 points.
So
curious to see what the table looks like, but yeah, that was a bit of a nail biter coming in down to that last race. Glad we were able to switch over to TK's point of view, because when Thomas was getting blued there, if he could do something to combo Thomas, if Thomas dropped down and didn't get 2nd place, they likely would have lost the war, so...
Thomas did the right thing there, he played it really safe at the end, didn't want to risk getting pushed off or anything. So really well played by him at the end.
Actually, that might be why Thomas backed up off the rail. He knew he had time, he didn't panic. He knew he had the time there to back up and to still get 2nd place, and just wanted to avoid getting bumped off the rail. So if that is the case, that is smart play from him.
Yeah, overall really well played. See pretty much really no standout players, I don't think, from at least Team Netherlands, but just a great lead-off match there.
Yeah, really, everyone played their part. I mean, I'm sure a lot of the chat would have been expecting Leops to carry, so to speak, but I mean,
Leops did get 115. So
okay.
You got to give him credit there.
But we did see everyone play their part. I mean, we saw Thomas was doing what he does best, just driving fast in 1st place, just doing his thing. We saw Leo making some plays, namely that green shell snipe on Sherbetland to take TK out of 1st place at the very start. And we did see May doing some pack play, some nice slagging there from him, and blocking that red on Sherbetland for that top 3-5, which really, I think, was the deciding moment in this match.
Yeah. A lot of things went wrong, a lot of things went right for USA, but overall, NL was able to confirm their victory for match 1. So we are going to take a quick break. We'll come back once we get 10 in room here. USA versus Netherlands. Netherlands wins match 1 right here on EndGameTV.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. If you've just joined us, we are about to head into match 2 of USA West versus the Netherlands here in this quarterfinal of the Mario Kart Wii World Cup 2020. I am joined here with my teammate and good friend, Mac. Say hello,
Hey,
Mac.
guys. What's up, guys? We're back again. We just saw a great match, and I'm excited to see this one.
And also for this next match, we will be joined by Eirik. Eirik?
You know, the mute button, the mute button is one hell of a thing. Hey guys, thanks for having me on. It's been an incredible set so far. Wow, that game won something, right? Like based on what we just saw, Netherlands really sticking it to him. I was really surprised that Neo really just kind of doing their part and making sure Netherlands got their win. But yeah, thoughts going into this game too. Maybe what needs to change from that past game one for either side, really?
Well, I was very happy about that first wall being very close, because I would have thought these teams were quite hotly contested. I'm sure in the chat beforehand we were seeing a lot of USA West wins, a lot of Netherlands wins. So the chat was sort of with us that this was going to be a tight match, and indeed it was. And it really could have gone either way at the end there. But it was in the end Netherlands who were able to take the victory. And I think USA West are going to have to change up their game plan a little bit. We saw Netherlands were able to run away with those top spots a little bit too much. So curious to see if there's going to be any lineup changes going into the next match.
I believe we're looking at the same lineups. I think West's key now just to winning is just pulling more shocks. You see Neo getting the better of the shot count there from Bobby. Whether they were in 9th or 10th, you know, couldn't really tell a lot of the races, but Bobby, obviously a very well-established bagger, very good, very experienced, and if he's able to get in a groove, I think it's going to bode well for USA West.
Right on. We have our players starting, our room loading up now, I think. And so for us now, as we get into race 1, we'll be looking to see what the race pick will be. Of course, 1-3. The popular pick will be Maple Trio, we've seen from the hosting teams. USA looking to bounce back. I mean, how might you kind of bounce back from that kind of result? Obviously, Mac, you just played a nail biter set of your own after going down and taking a loss. How do you and your team recover?
We just really stayed within ourselves. We didn't try to do too much. We obviously had a bit of a lineup change, taking Zagler out for Havo, but we were lucky enough to have a pretty deep roster where feels like we can throw a lot of guys in there and they'll succeed. But we just try to stay within ourselves, know what our strengths are, and just play our game. And that's really what USA has to do here as well. They know that they have the experience and the skills to win, so I'm sure they're not too nervous here going to match 2 despite losing match 1.
Yeah, and you know, we'll see what kind of, obviously the US West has such veterans, so to speak. We'll see how much that can really carry them, especially in this best-of-3 format that, you know, can be pretty grueling. I don't know how you're still alive after playing a best-of-3 and casting this, and then you're going to decide to cast a best-of... Yeah.
It helps when you win.
Yeah, that is true. We might have needed a sub in the caster desk if that happened.
No, as you say, Eirik, a lot of these teams are very, very experienced, and for a lot of them, I'm sure this will not be the first time that they are down 1-0 in a series. A lot of the WL seasons used to end in semi-finals and finals, which were best-of-3. And already here, from TK's point of view, we do see a top 3 breaking out. And TK is holding on to 2 shrooms in second, and I wouldn't be surprised if there were more shrooms in first and second.
Yeah, so we might see maybe the same strategy here for Shock if USA does in fact have it. And looks like TK is going to take Rock, so at least not what we saw last match, but both baggers look like they're pretty close. Guy in 10th just falling off here.
You don't like to see that. He just...
No, you do not. That's going to give Thomas the lead.
I think he was caught in 2 minds there. I think he was trying to avoid it with the sort of uneven course. Ooh, this blue shell lagging here.
Thomas is blue, stopping and getting hit there. And now I see Bobby is in 10th, but he did just fall off for another respawn. And at this point, Neo is just chaining boxes in 9th. Leop's using a Mega, but it looks like nobody's going to have shot.
Okay, that's going to be sending Leops basically to last for good here. I don't see him catching really back up. There's a red here for May towards the end. Single red, triple reds. Maybe able to do something, but probably not much.
Oh,
Lucian at the last
TK
second!
hitting the line, but it
No.
a lot of middle spots for Netherlands here. I think that's a 3, 4, 5, 6.
I think it was a top 2, bottom 2 for USA. We did see, I believe, Sane in first at the end there, and TK behind him in second. So really Netherlands filling that sandwich filling, those sandwich filling spots. Excuse me, that's a bit of a mouthful. For and I'm curious that there was no shock that race. Last war on Grand Volcano, we saw a lap 2 shock from USA West when their bagger was far in 9th, dodging their top 2, but no shock coming in on that race. And we see a similar sort of result, really. USA took home top 2 on Grand Volcano last time, and they're taking home top 2 again.
Yeah, and that, I mean, a clear difference between what happened in the first war, right, with Netherlands getting an insane start. I mean, you might surmise that, like, the start that you wouldn't really expect to see between these two teams of such high caliber, with Netherlands in that first game of this set getting, like, what, like, top 2, 4, and
yeah.
After the first 2 races, I think having, like, what, like a 40-point lead or something like that.
Yeah.
So I wonder what this looks like, you know, what this match looks like now that I'm sure that kind of tone won't probably carry in this first GP of Game 2, and what it turns out like if Netherlands can really hold down their strength of play as the races go on. They proved they could do something strong at the beginning. Let's see if they have the stamina to keep up.
Yeah.
Move Your Highway coming out here for USA West, and as we talked about before, this is a good track for starting in top 2, and 4th. Although somewhat it might be favourable to have 4th on this track, it's not a great track to draft up on, particularly for the fact that 2nd place can swerve over to the right there to cut them off. And I'm not sure how well the bottom 2 will fare here. They might have trouble getting some boxes, but already no draft from May. USA West are holding down this top 2 in the early stages of this race.
Now, I'm curious, Mac, for your thoughts on the bagging matchup, at least for maybe this course. What's kind of sticks out for Moonview Highway for you in the bagging race, and what do you generally look out to do on Moonview in particular? Because obviously, with all the obstacles, bomb cars, there's so many roles you can kind of play as a bagger here.
Yeah, if I'm bagging here, obviously what I like to do on any track and what any bagger should want to do is get those first boxes in 10th, but losing Bill as soon as you can is super important here, because there's obviously the boost panel section, and you can just, you know, lose the Bill to a car or a truck and then immediately just boost off. So it's really beneficial to just get rid of those Bills early, stay in 10th, and just hold that spot. And I know Bobby has a few tricks up his sleeve here, so we'll see if that's able to pay off for him, but so far it looks like Neil's getting the better of the bagging battle from what we've seen. But yeah, just getting rid of that Bill early and doing what you can for your team is pretty much the mindset you should have on any track as a bagger.
Yeah, fair enough. I don't know. What is this pack? Like, what are we seeing?
This is a worldwide pack.
Like, this is not supposed to happen on this track. We'll see it on BC3, but like, what? This is Moonview. This is not supposed to be happening.
It's quite a stark contrast from Moonview in the last race. Okay, TK. Yeah,
well,
quite a stark contrast.
So it looks like Netherlands getting the better of it. Leop's here in 5th.
Holding the blue shell.
There as well, holding blue. So it looks like odd spots right now for Netherlands. And shock dodge there in 4th for USA.
Okay.
It's Jack.
And the Bill for
and TK, yeah, coming up. Lap 3, will they be able to make enough of it? It's going to be Thomas still growing up. Blue shell comes out. Red shell does go up. Who's going to the blue going to hit? I don't think it's going to connect with anyone. USA.
That's still a Netherlands first place.
Yeah. Yeah, it has to
I'm
be.
not sure it is.
Able to really hold out of
I think
spots.
Jack dodged in that star in a sort of middle position, maybe 4th or 5th. I think Jack. I think Jack might have.
Could have been Jack.
Yeah, I completely forgot about USA dodging someone up there. Y'all called that really nicely. I totally missed it on the minimap, but yeah, USA dodging up there, maybe clutching that first place for them. And for Netherlands, they have to hope. We're hoping for Netherlands' sake that they hold on to first, because if not, that's a pretty big race win.
Huge race for USA, and 1-3-4.
Yeah. Okay, that's I think what, a 13-point race win for them after 2 races. It seems like they're really carrying the momentum at the start.
Their lead.
Yeah, combined with that first race, which was, I believe, a +5, they're going to have a something like a 20-point deficit going into race 3. So last where we saw Netherlands having a very commanding start with, I believe, a 40-point lead after 2 races, and tables have turned. USA West have pulled out the Uno reverse card and have had a very strong start to this war.
Yeah, Uno reverse card. Looks like Netherlands was able to catch West sleeping there at the beginning of match 1, but West is wide awake now and ready to go. And you can see with that lead within the first 2 races, they're not messing around here. They know it's make or break. And TF pick, obviously, with the 1-4 and another top spot up there. Really easy choice. Gardens for the reset track. And NL's favor for the track pick, so you're going to see a lot of people dropping first set here.
Yeah, you talk about, you know, reverse card being played. What about, I think there's a swap hands card, right? Or something? Either way, like this track is. I don't know.
I've never played Uno.
Yep. What? How are you gonna bring up? I mean, I thought really well of like bringing that in. Like, oh, I haven't thought of that. Great commentary, and then you're just gonna be a complete poser. All right, great. Yeah, no. Well,
I've seen the memes. That's my experience with Uno.
Fair. We're gonna get a complete reset here, at least with this track. Peach Garden's gonna be the one to start this one off. TK just kind of happily dancing and going through the pits of hell there with the TC bombs going all around him, and you'll be able to survive in the first place. USA, top 2 to start here.
Both baggers sitting there waiting at 30. There's a lot of different box strats that you can use, a lot of different timings baggers use, but both of them sitting at 30, pretty interesting strat. See who it pays off for. See, one of them already looks like they're shrooming away, while USA just holds his top 2, and the guy in 9th hitting a chomp, so huge lead here for whoever this is in 10th.
I believe it's Neo. I think we saw that come up on the minimap. And we see Neo. Yeah, it is Neo. And he's going around the grass. So we saw Bobby lose a bill by the looks of it. So that means that Neo wasn't holding the bill most likely. So given that he hasn't taken the shortcut there, I believe we are seeing a Netherlands shock at the moment.
Yeah, just saw Bobby hit another chomp, pretty much confirming that. And another chomp. So definitely looks like a Netherlands shock here. And in 10th by a lot too, so definitely an option to have an early shock if needed. And with this tight pack, they might want to hold it as long as they can.
I think what happened off screen too, we had Netherlands being able to have, I think, triple shrooms in 4th, but getting immediately taken out from the top 2. May's holding this mega, an instantaneous shock. A nice call on that one. They get a few members behind the item boxes here, and that's Leop's getting a mega directly after the shock. That's going to be so huge for them.
Top 2 now for Netherlands. This shows you how powerful the shot can be on this track. And Bobby still sitting over here, maybe try to drop a star for his 3rd place, but overall looks like he was just pretty much helpless that entire race. Neo now sitting in 10th and maybe trying to get a last-second shock to help his bottom spot teammates, but they're not going to need it. This is going to be a top 2 for Netherlands. Bill coming in. Maybe I spoke too soon, but Bill coming in from Killua.
Yeah, it looks like that should be it, the race here for Netherlands. USA should be able to get a couple of the middle spots behind. It shouldn't be the worst of races by any means, but yeah, Netherlands able to at least survive. Just, being able to get top 2. I think we're going to see probably a neutral race there.
I might be wrong, but I think it was a top 2, bottom 2 for the Netherlands. Something I'd like to pick up on, actually, when we saw, I believe we were on board with May when he was holding that mega going into lap 3, and we saw behind him Killua in 8th. By the looks of it, not using anything. Most likely, that says to me that he was holding a star, and I'm surprised he didn't dodge the shock, if that's the case.
Yeah.
It's not, if he had shrooms, I think he'd have been trying to spam those shrooms before the first box to try and get something to dodge the shock. So, as you said, it was an instantaneous shock dodge. They really called that very, very well. So, maybe Killua wasn't expecting the shock to get used that early. Yeah. But Killua takes home 2nd place anyway.
That's a really good point to bring up, I think, especially just because, like, you talk about the lag in this game sometimes, and being able to call something so clean like that, and just like giving your enemy, no opportunity to react to power item being used, and being able to, dodge with the opposing team like that is just so huge. And especially on Peach Gardens, that's what will give Netherlands a slight race win there.
Still early, obviously, anybody's game. Netherlands playing it well, played that shock about as well as they could, and getting the items on top of it with that mega in 4th and triple shroom pull, but Gonna get their track pick yet again with DDR. Pretty common when you have first place and then a few bottom spots. First place able to run it pretty well. They get a good start, and obviously the ultra shortcut's just so strong.
I mean, we've talked about those starting spots. Very often they do play a crucial role, and this is one of those tracks where fourth place isn't a very good position to start because you're not able to draft first, and particularly if you're in third or second as well. A lot of the top spots will go for the sand top, and we'll have some trouble getting bumped if they are not first place.
TK chain the triple shrooms, gets the gold, and gonna be able to take the ultra up here, at least you assume. Bottom two for USA. Looks like Leops was able to hold his first place though. Oh, and random green coming in on TK. So he's
gonna be another thing that you don't like to see.
Bagging battle really tight right now. Looks like neither of them pulled the bill early. So both gonna make the boxes on 40 seconds.
Oh, hello. Hello.
A little.
Hello. Hello.
A bit of a misstep here from TK.
We have some bad days.
All of us have that, of course.
We've gotten a report card sent back home, and Mother had to tell us something bad. Yeah, this is going to be a little bit of a roundabout way to start the race, but TK at least has a star in 7. Who knows who has shock. Not exactly able to tell who's back there right now in 10th place.
I believe it's Bobby in 10th. Yeah, it is. So he's going up for a box right now. If he pulls Bill, it's going to be Neo in 10th by a lot, though. And it looks like he's still going back, so
I think he's
got it. Streaming up onto him, and yeah, we see Bobby stopping and moving forward. That's going to be a USA shock.
Red's coming in here for Leon.
And TK's going to dodge on the cut.
Oh my!
He chained his star last set, and he chained it to a golden, and they just shocked at the end of his star. He's going to be taking home first place. There is no way he is losing this.
At least you hope.
Knock on wood. I mean, yeah, like you talk about some of the most picture-perfect ideal dodges you can get. That is absolutely one of them.
The star to golden is such a class.
Yeah. Well, we'll take a look maybe at another perspective coming soon, but TK should have this wrapped up, especially with that kind of lead. May here with triple shrooms, hoping to maybe do something here. USA does have 6-5, maybe can break that up better for Netherlands and maybe tie the GP here. Blue shell is spammed. That's not going to really get onto anyone, I think. So USA should be able to...
8th at same, so that's a good race for Netherlands.
Okay. Yeah, yeah.
2-3-4 for Netherlands.
Yeah.
2-3-4-6, something like that.
Okay.
So Netherlands able to work around that shock pretty well. Looks like it only really benefited TK, and he's able to lock up first.
I mean, as we said from that shock in the last war on Grand Volcano, when you can lock up first place or top 2 or something like that with such a good strong shock for one player, it is very tempting to do.
Ooh.
And as we see there, yeah, TK is able to lock up first place with that very, very favourable shock, but his teammates aren't able to get the same sort of treatment, and Netherlands are going to take home 2-3-4 for a winning race.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if there's a better shock call. It seems like a pretty alright call. No one's really in a golden or anything, or sorry, in another power item. Star Golden is also just so ideal. It's just nice to know you're definitely getting first like that. So it's probably a decent call, right? But unfortunately, it does lead to a 2-3-4. Netherlands to recover at least a little bit. But USA West still with a pretty powerful first Grand Prix here, which is something we like to see for the US West side, at least in terms of maybe moving this towards a Game 3. Of course, Netherlands winning the first game of this set. But yeah, that was the start you wanted to see. Not something. It seems like US West maybe getting a. I don't know. I know they kind of wake up pretty late.
Getting comfortable here.
Yeah, they're getting cozy. I know they wake up late. They can degen a little bit. So maybe that played into it a little bit. I don't know.
Netherlands down only 12. 8 races left. Very, very doable, obviously. Change in just one race.
Spots keeping it tight here. Keeping it tight here in this first GP. We saw a good, strong first race straight out the gate from the Netherlands. And as you say, a 12-point lead going into GP2. And having already won the first war, they've kind of got USA West on the ropes. Curious to see if USA West are going to change up their game plan a bit. I mean, I'm not really sure what they could be doing much differently. I think similar to the last race, the Netherlands are just holding down their top spots and doing really, really well.
Yeah.
With the exception of that Gardens race, yeah, I think they have dominant frontal presence, I think is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. And what we've seen so far is being able to leverage that for their best. Although Cubic Cape will come out here. Thoughts on the Cubic Cape pick? I think that was Team USA, if I got that correctly, right? I guess it is a relatively neutral track for these kind of spots, right?
Yeah, definitely a neutral track.
No, go ahead.
And in Netherlands' favor, they do have Thomas, who has a very, very good time here. So see if he's able to get to the front and just do what he does best, which is just driving. But
good start here for Team Netherlands. Yeah, May's picked up triple greens, and he's able to do the Shroomba and get rid of a USA member who was backspammed by Leops, and I think he takes someone else out there as well.
Yeah, what? That was, that incredible play. Like, I don't really know if that was so much coordinated as much as everything kind of falling into such a good line there for the Netherlands of, that back trailed Nana into the triple greens, and they just kind of pressing the A button and think good things happening for them.
So that's a star drop there from Neo, and May, interesting to see he has backspammed a Nana in the water, which is very difficult to predict if you're taking that cut with a Shroom, and that could catch someone off guard. Star drops are very, very prominent on this track. There's been a bit of a shift in the metagame for bagging on KC. Originally, it was all sort of sitting at the waterfall trying to take those boxes in 10th, but now a lot more baggers, as we can see from the minimap, are choosing to go for the strat where you spam box in 9th, similar to TF, but you can drop stars for your teammates as well.
Now we will see TK here, 5th place. Gets the blue shell and chucks it immediately. Yeah, why not? That's, of course, May there way up front. That gap that has grown a little bit over time here, but we'll see its lead kind of diminish here as we go into the last set, which isn't the worst thing, of course. Getting a box here, maybe in 4th place even for May, though. They won't complain about that too much now. Lap 3. It doesn't look like, I'll go to our bagger expert here. It doesn't look like anyone has shock here, lap 3, so...
No.
Yeah.
We'll most likely be seeing someone either go back to the set, well, I've seen that happen a few times, now going back to the waterfall, staying away from the other bagger, or just going forwards up the ramp and just running away. But it looks like nobody has it as we speak. You see one bagger just spinning out there. Might just be going for some more late star drops, I guess, but both baggers obviously just going for boxes in 9.
I think the spots are reasonably mixed right now. We see Sane in 1st, May and I believe another Netherlands member in 3rd as well. And we saw TK and Thomas and Leo were back there when we were on the other POV. And I think without a shock and fading a blue shell, we're going to see some mixed spots here. Yeah, 1-3-5 by the looks of it for Team USA.
Yeah, it looks like
TK
they,
taking home 7th.
Yeah,
seems like, yeah.
Hot spots to end that one for a pretty hectic race. I mean, we saw Netherlands holding up front for the most part till that blue shell came end of lap 2, and from there just position switching back and forth, and looks like our, I think, placements at the end of this one will reflect that. Nothing too much gained by either side. We saw both baggers kind of sitting at the line, the line of boxes there. You know, that baggers have kind of tended to, that you spoke to earlier, Klein, and no one really ending up getting the shock. Kind of interesting to see that no one seeming to go for the waterfall by the end of the race at all, which, I don't know, I feel like I haven't seen that in a good minute, but might just be me and my Division 3 team and our experience.
It depends by bagger what they think is best. It really changing boxes in 9th and getting the occasional box in 10th, because obviously you can change just so many more boxes at the last set before the final ramp. But it's about the same, I think, percentage-wise.
Yeah,
I believe we
can really go either way.
But yeah, it's about the same either way. So really, just what you want to do. Usually, I've seen a lot more top baggers, including myself, just staying at those last set boxes, because you can also have the option to drop stars. Sometimes your opponent will misplay and go ahead, and you can get a 10th place box. But overall, that has been the meta shift for sure.
Something that's interesting to note about that sort of bagging strat on KC is that if you do the same thing that the opposition bagger is doing, you essentially block their chance of getting shocked. So if you're at the waterfall with them, you'll get some of the boxes, they'll get less. And if you're at the box, taking the box in 9th, then they have to be a bit more cautious and will inevitably get less boxes. So if you back your runners to get good spots on KC and you want to increase the chance of a shockless race, you can really just do what the other bagger is doing. And you'll have a good chance there of sort of blocking them, trying to push towards a shockless race. So that's something for a bagger to think about as well, not necessarily just what strategy they prefer.
Right on.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely depends on the race there in your lineup.
And I think we're going to see here, at least for now, I think we got caught TK holding onto a bill in something of a 8th place, obviously getting it there, and now we'll have to see where they are now. But USA at least holding on to top 2 here.
Looks like May just redded Leops there right before the ramp.
Oh, yeah. Nice catch.
Getting a good chain, going to be able to catch Sane a bit. That'll head into 2nd place, but USA, a lot of top spots. See Jack and TK behind as well. And putting a lot of faith in Neo here with these bottom spots for Netherlands.
Yeah. Bobby, I think, winning the bagging battle. I don't know if we even see Neo back there, question mark?
We see one bagger way up there going around the U-turn right now and TS ramp. So whoever that is most likely the one to have shock because they're just running away.
Yeah, we saw there May at the start of this lap was playing very, very aggressive. We saw he chained his Shroom in 2nd to try and contend Sane on the log and then pull out his triple greens and sniped him there in the Wiggler section. He's done very, very well there. He's been very aggressive and it's paid off for him. We're going to switch over to TK now, holding his goal in 7th place.
I did see Neo going backwards again, so I think he is the one with shock. We see him sitting right under there behind the ramp.
Yeah.
So Netherlands shock, TK using the build, try to prevent a cannon, but he's going to dodge right there with them. And we'll see how this shakes up the top spots. Sane up here. Netherlands looks like top 2 now.
Yeah, this looks like it could be a tying, like a match tying race here for that shock.
Oh my god! Against the Wiggler.
That's USA Wiggler, and then NL being able to come in and wheelie bump them here. That's okay. This is just going to be chaos, I guess. TK in 3rd place, Mabe right behind them with a single red. It doesn't look like they're going to be able to connect with it with these triple greens out, but at least maybe being able to hold on to for protection. No backspin coming in. Oh wait, May's in 2nd place. It's another NL member coming in behind them. And I think, if nothing else, we should be seeing NL keep this away. No red shell coming in for TK. That POW isn't going to clip him at the very end there. So, oh my goodness, Netherlands, I think, is that top 2, 4, 5?
I think it is, yeah.
Big race for Netherlands.
We saw Thomas in 1st at the start of the lap.
May made a huge misplay there on the Wiggler section, able to get away with it, luckily, but...
I think he was rewarded for it, honestly. Like, as you say, yeah, he ran into the Wiggler. But then he sort of disappeared on TK's screen. I think it was a bit laggy, and then suddenly reappeared and bumped TK, despite the fact that... Did he have shells around him at that point?
Yeah, TK did have at least 2 shells around him.
That's quite unlucky on TK's part there.
Yeah, tough break there for TK, and NL's going to walk away with a huge race, and that, like you said, Eric, is going to be at least a game-tying race.
Yeah, unfortunately, USA Wiggler tried doing their part. It just could not come through. Like I don't know. They looked like TK was going to be set off that. It seemed, innocent enough, hop into 2nd. But no, May somehow able to catch up back to him and give him the business. And unfortunately, all of USA falling prey to that shock, which unfortunately no one else on USA was able to get a dodge, even though I think they had a good amount of bottom spots, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, we did see TK with the build, but looks like that was really all they were able to muster. And,
yeah, when you're the only person dodging an opposition cannon shock, like, it can feel like you're under a lot of pressure to hold your spot, and it's quite difficult, really, when you've got, opposition members all around you. You've got to worry about items coming at you from behind, from in front, from sort of everywhere, really. It's a lot of pressure because you know that if you get taken out, they're getting a massive raise. So, difficult there for TK. And he did well to hold down 3rd, but unfortunately his teammates weren't able to hold any more spots. So, a top 2, 4, 5 for Team Netherlands going into MC3 here, which is a bit of a reset track. I'm sure we'll see some of the players here dropping 4 boxes in low spots early on.
And nice snipe from TK off the bat. Getting Thomas out of 1st place, going to be a top 2 here. USA early.
I think Thomas might have heard something being thrown at him, released his drift to try and go wide, expecting the item to come tight, and accidentally driving straight into the fib of TK there. And we do see a top 2 breaking out here for Team USA West with Killer and TK in 1st and 2nd respectively.
We see one bagger spamming Bill. We'll see who's in 10th here. Going to be a 3-box while the bagger is in Bill, and it's Neo. So we're looking at most likely a Netherlands shock.
Huge, right? I mean, obviously USA picking this for the kind of reset track, and it seemed to go in their favor. They have top 2 on this, but the bagger is just not going to get the easy end of the stick here, and now Bobby just has to try trolling the ever-living hell out of Neo, and just pray to God that it lands.
Yeah, with Neo a lap ahead of Bobby here, or I guess a lap behind, but a much bigger advantage here. to get Shock, obviously. If he pulls Bill, though, Bobby has a lot of chances to get boxed in 9th. Maybe even try to go backwards again and catch him to 10th. But
I was about to say I wasn't sure anyone had it because we were looking at the minimap and seeing someone spin out, but I think Neo must have been juking him out.
That might have been a USA shot. You see Jack dodging up, and 6-7 for NL and 8.
Bottom three here for Netherlands.
Yeah,
I think you must be right.
How did that?
Must have been a nice place shot there for. I can't imagine. I can't imagine Netherlands would have used that and ended up with those spots. So
yeah,
that had to have been a USA shot.
Must have been.
The thing is, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong. Is second place Netherlands? Because I think they might have dodged it, which makes me wonder. I guess I just don't know. But we'll see here.
Ooh,
no, Leo
was able to hold first.
Yeah, I kind of think that might have actually been.
It might have been
a Netherlands shock, and yet somehow, some way, 37 to 24 is the end result of that race. What happened?
Yeah, I mean, we did see Killua was in first. Killua was in first by a chunk. We saw him at the cut lap 2 take cut in first, so he had a nice little breakaway. The pack was very, very spread out on lap 3. So I think it would have taken some doing for Leo to be able to get first. So yeah, you might be right. It might have been a Netherlands shock, which unfortunately had the side effect of getting them bottom 3. But they might have just kind of panicked when USA were breaking away in top 2.
Looks like it was if it was a Netherlands shock, pretty similar to what USA did on DDR, where they just got that confirmed first and just hope that the rest of their players could muster some spots up. But same result both those times, with the other team getting 2, 3, 4, 5.
I think a sort of common pattern that we're seeing with these shocks is that they're trying to use them to lock down first place, as you say. Yeah. We saw on Grumble Volcano in the last war, they had the opportunity to lock down first, and they did it. On DDR this war, TK had the start to take cut, he chained it, and they just made sure they got first. And what happened to the rest of them happened, but they're just trying to get first place, and we've seen both teams doing this now. They are really prioritizing first place and just sort of seeing what else happens, and maybe they'd be doing better with some more coordinated shocks that benefit more than one person on their team. Perhaps some food for thought.
Yeah. You know, maybe a hot take there. I don't know, man. We'll see if they can muster up the communication skills, if you will, I guess, to be able to do more than just one dodge, right? And it's Coconut Mall. Let's see how it pans out. Oh, the fifth landing on the TK. That was unexpected, and Killua was thinking the same thing. That's going to be them in 6-7 here. Now, of course, with USA in 2, 3, 4, 5, you would figure who has the advantage going into Coconut Mall and why?
I think it all depends on how the pack is looking right now. We got a pretty tight pack. Netherlands still 8th, but TK with his golden 7th, using it a bit earlier than you see most people do, but going to take the cut here and get into a top spot.
Oh.
Palmer's holding down 2nd. And we'll see who's 1st and 2nd, but looks like mostly middle spots.
I think it might still be Leo. I'm not entirely sure, but I think a lot of USA spots were at the back there. No, I stand corrected. Leo is behind in 5th, but we saw on lap 1, USA really were occupying a lot of those bottom spots. We did see Leops in last.
And TC for May. This is going to be tough to pass, especially with his teammate around him. Leops in 8th. This is a good spots here for USA if they're able to keep it shockless.
And I was wondering early on whether Leops in last holding the bill, but we see him there with a golden, so it looks like there was no bill in play. And usually when there's no bill in play, the race usually turns out to be shockless, unless we see one team down drastically in spots and they have to start risking boxes.
Blue coming in, gonna get Jack there on the side. 2-3 for USA.
Has to be Netherlands in first.
I see
it going back. Yeah, it must be.
Well,
either way,
that isn't saying first.
Oh, that's gonna be someone, I think.
We're getting back there.
Yeah, so
that's first.
Yeah, so Netherlands barely surviving with just that first alone, because I think, I don't know, I think Netherlands might be giving up a lot of the middle spots behind first, and if that is the case, this GP3 is, I mean, it's going to be close either way, but we're already at a game of inches at this point, so these inches already in the second GP are going to start mattering. We could see maybe a 15, 20-point lead for USA West going into GP3 here.
Yeah. Really well played by USA overall there. I think they occupied the top spots well. Obviously, that blue came towards the end of lap 3, which pretty much killed any chance of Jack getting first. But Thomas holding down for Team Netherlands and going into GP3. Yeah, like you said, going to be a close one yet again.
And it's another one of those races, just like MC3, where we see a Netherlands member taking home first place and the USA members getting everything behind. So, I mean, that might say something about how they're playing, like their play style. But USA in these in this last GP particularly have just been occupying a lot of the middle spots, just kind of holding down decent spots for most of the races. And we saw on MC3 the shock for, I believe now we can say somewhat confidently that that was a Netherlands shock. It doesn't look like USA West are getting many more of the items. It seems like the shocks might be slightly in Netherlands' favour, and we did see a blue there take out Jack. So USA West are really, I think they've really upped their game from the last war. They're occupying a lot more of that front presence. I said before this war started that I thought Netherlands were taking a lot of the front presence, and I think that's kind of shifted.
Yeah, definitely West holding a lot of top spots now. Looks like Bobby's been getting a few more shocks for them. So should spell for success here in GP3. USA 16-point lead, which is not comfortable in the slightest. Not versus this Netherlands team. So they got to stay on high alert here.
Now, are there any particular track picks that are good for either side that you might expect to see from them going into Course Select here? Because 1-3, the odd spots here for Netherlands, right?
Yeah, I think it is Leops hosting this war.
I think we're seeing it now, right here with DK Mountain.
Yeah. And DK Mountain, of course, for spot on for some of the Netherlands players especially, and they're going to get it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think particularly Leops starting in first. We saw this in the last war. They picked this when Leops was in first place, and this is a bit of an MW special. Leops obviously plays for MW in MKPS, and in the last war they picked this, and he just broke away. And I wouldn't be surprised if we see something similar again in this race.
Well,
looks like Leops already holding on to that first place going into the cannon. TK getting owned a little bit there, using the stream to recover, staying in 6th place.
Let's get this one started. I mean, I'm curious for y'all's takes. This is obviously a very close match. It's 4 races. It could be. I guess I'm just realizing the gravity of this. This is 4 races left. And USA West could be out of the World Cup in just as little as 4 races. Do you think USA West holds on to this? I'll start with your take, Klein.
I mean, I'm interested to see. I mean, we talk about sort of momentum in this kind of game quite a lot, not just with track picks, but psychologically. And I think USA West have, not by a drastic amount, but I think they do have the momentum going into this last GP. They do have a 16-point lead going into this race. And perhaps that psychological factor as well.
Ooh, I would have gotten to max point just there, but the shock just happens, and I think that's Netherlands' top 2, right? They had, if so, that's an incredible shock for them, but not quite sure actually. Do you guys know any confirmation on who might have had that shock?
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if. Yeah, I think Leops was still in first.
Yeah.
Right.
After being able to red TK, that's a top 2 easy decision there to dodge them. And they're going to confirm that top 2. Another shock, obviously confirming that first place on lap 2. To go back to your question, I would say I think it's going to really depend. Now I'm going to sound like a jerk saying it. It really depends on what's going to happen in this race. Now after shock is
no, but that's true. That's true.
Because this is just such a heavily favored NL track from what we've seen from. Even though they didn't win it last match, but NL just so good at this track, and with such a tight match. Really, every race counts, and getting that small amount of momentum, no matter how much it is so huge.
It's top 4 for them right now. May goes down to a red shell, but this is a top 3 right now. We saw Leops, Leo, and Thomas occupying those top 3 spots. TK has a mega in 4th, and if Bobby can pull a shock, we might see him get into 3rd, but I think this top 2 is secure now.
Yeah.
Yes, we see a shock.
There's the Bobby shock.
Okay, yeah, the bomb as well. No way.
No way.
Okay. What?
No, I don't think
so.
No. I think Leo crossed.
No, I refuse to believe it. No.
You saw his name tag kind of disappearing there. I'm pretty sure Leo was able to cross there, but if not, that's a pretty neutral race.
I don't know. I would not put money on it. I don't know. And if the thing is, that is so important. Like, I think what you were saying is, like, this first race mattering a lot. Like, yeah, especially because it determines, like, you know, what positions are you good for going into the next track. And being able to decide, okay, well, if we have top spots, we get to carry this momentum potentially. And that is such a huge deal with 4 races left, but no, they aren't going to be able to get that second place. TK is going to get 3rd, USA 3, 4, 6, 7, and 9. Not the worst race it could have been, but that shock dodge thankfully saving them some spots. I'm curious, is that shock late? Is it, for me, like, yeah, TK used that mega, you know, right after the shortcut. Do you think maybe they're regretting a little bit that they didn't use the shock earlier, Mac?
I think what we most likely saw right there was TK saying spam it if you get it. Because like, you're right, that did come pretty late. If they had gotten it any earlier, I'm sure they would have opted for either trying to TS them or something along those lines. But I think that was Bobby getting it just then, and TK just using his mega and barely scraping 3rd place. But yeah, really in control there for Netherlands that race. Obviously, Leop's doing the same thing he did last match. Getting up there, but yeah, gonna pretty much cut USA West team lead in half. So
that is pretty significant here with as little races we have left. Again, a game of inches, so to speak, and players having to clutch out on one side or another. It will be the GCN Mario Circuit pick. Thankfully for USA West, that could have really steamrolled with the TF pick.
Yeah, USA getting this pick. Really just kind of a wild card track. Obviously, a lot of grass here, a lot of cuts. And for the baggers, I mean, obviously nowhere to fall off, so it plays somewhat like MC3 and Luigi Circuit, where if you get Bill, it's pretty brutal. Obviously, you can lose it to the Piranha Plants, but you got to wait for them underneath for them to chomp down, and the Chain Chomp. But really, Bill is pretty brutal here. So see if Baggers are able to escape that.
Klein,
USA.
This top 4, is this a good idea in your opinion? Is this solid? What's your take on this?
Well, I think you're right to mention that. Bomb coming in there that takes out Jack and TK, and I was about to say that I think having a top 4 there, there's no harm as long as you're holding shrooms, which TK was, but he's been removed by that awesome bomb snipe coming in from, we don't know, but presumably a Netherlands member. And he's now in the back of the pack, holding on to Star in 6th. And we see Jack here as well. We can only assume that USA is still holding on to top 2, but we really don't know. And yeah, we switch over to... Oh, I stand corrected, this is May's POV. May somehow managing to get into 1st after that cut. And Leop's here in 3rd, so 1-3 for Team Netherlands.
We saw Bobby in 10th by quite a bit. I did see him streaming out of Punto, so I'm not sure if he has it yet. Bagging battle really tight. Looks like one of them spun out, and it might be Neo in 10th now. Don't think anybody has it yet.
Oh.
And it's going to be pretty interesting to see whose shot comes out here, if one at all.
That POW might just do it for TK, barely avoiding that banana. The Mega as well. Are you going to be able to survive? TK says, no, I'm not be able. Maybe Jack gets him on the line or something like that. It's going to be a little bit too late. Yeah, oh my goodness. And that banana, just barely avoiding it because of the red as well that kind of came into it. That was really hectic for TK at the end there.
Yeah.
Seems like a slight win for Team Netherlands. I believe we saw them get top 2, but we did see a 3-4-5 for USA West. I think Leo took 6th. So either way, I think an ever so slightly winning race for Netherlands by maybe 5 or 7 or something in that department. And this might close up the gap. This might pull them to a tie.
And it's going to be definitely still single digits after that, obviously.
It is a tie. It is quite literally a tie.
It is exactly a tie with 2 left.
Yeah.
So Netherlands got USA on the ropes here.
God, I hate this.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have a game on our hands. If you've just joined us, you have tuned into the quarterfinal of the Mario Kart Wii World Cup 2020 between Netherlands and USA West. Netherlands took the first match, and USA West had a convincing start to the second match, but they are now tied with 2 races left.
God.
The quarterfinals of the upper tournament winner of this is going to play against USA East, who is another very strong team, obviously. And I mean, I don't know what more you could ask for. We had a 6-point match just before. Now we got another tie game going to the last 2.
This
is looking really exciting.
USA, you know, it should be worth noting they've won the last 3 World Cups, right? Like, this would be the first time. Obviously, it's different, right? The 2 USA teams split in 2, but this would be the first time we've seen a USA team potentially eliminated. Also, maybe something worth noting, okay, it's going to be the Delfino pick coming in here for Team USA West, so good on them to be able to get kind of a neutral track. But, you know, MKPS, it just happened yesterday for TK, for Wallywogs. It didn't turn out too well for them, and I was talking to Casper and Edison, not particularly about TK or any members on US West or anything, but just getting a feel and understanding from them. I know that loss hit, and I wonder if that's affecting any of the mental going into these last two races. Let's see if TK USA West can clutch this out. When it'll be whoever steps up. You know, this is where your clutch people have to come in. 2 races left, and it's Delfino score of all places.
Yeah,
I think you're absolutely right. That is a very good point to bring up. For anyone on the chat who doesn't know what Eirik is referencing, Wallywogs took a surprise loss to Charge Brigade in Division 1 of MKPS last night. Charge Brigade thought to be the weakest team in the division, and Wallywogs thought to be one of the strongest. And I think, as you said, I think form is certainly a thing in this game. And I think TK and some of these Wallywogs members from last night might be at risk of some slightly poor form. As you say, psychologically, that loss might have carried on into today's game.
We'll have to see if it does. I think Leop's actually slipping to a banana there in first place, so gonna lose a little bit of the lead that they generated here going into lap 2. No clear eyes on the bagging battle back there, but certainly a distinct last place for whoever is back there, so they should be able to get first dibs, although no, we're gonna see them hop off. So
that was Bobby hopping off there. Neo gonna get a box in 10th. And it's still gonna be close, so now if Neo pulls Bill, it's really anyone's game. But it looks like Bobby fell off with Bill again, so Neo most likely another Netherlands. And this top 2 is probably gonna stand if that's the case.
I believe what May was trying to do there, we saw him throw a fib forward. Some of you might be scratching your head at that. I believe he was trying to throw it off the start-finish sign to try and hit the USA members in 3-4, but that didn't work out for him. But still a top 2 by the looks of it for Team Netherlands.
Okay, maybe able to target Pow top 2 if they go for Doc. Get Killaway in the boxes maybe. And he's going to opt to hold it for a little bit. Shocking in the boxes.
Okay, that shock gets a lot of USA members after boxes, but that's triple shrooms for TK here. Thomas?
It's like Thomas was able to dodge that, gonna get into the double and pass TK. This is a top 3 for Netherlands.
That could be
TK
big.
TK pulling the best item in 4th.
He has to. He has to go huge here. Can he do anything against second? It's so important.
I think that's going to be a 3rd place.
Yeah, it probably is because he had to play it safe. He had to drop his wheelie.
Yeah.
And it's definitely riding easy. It just, even if they lose that spot, they have all their teammates around him. So I think that's top 2-4 for Netherlands, and they might have one hell of a lead here going into the last race.
Yeah,
Prayers.
TK played that about the best he could, and he got pretty much the best items he could have gotten. Shocking into boxes on the other team's shot, pulling triple shrooms, chaining them for some more triple shrooms in 4th. Probably the best thing he could have pulled other than, I don't know, maybe a bomb and making a play, but that's obviously very risky. But those triple shrooms were so huge, and couldn't break that top 2, but able to get that one top spot for USA, and this top 2-4 for Netherlands is going to be hard to beat with only 1 race left.
I think that's a 13-point race win as well, if I got my math correctly. If my algebra teacher did me well, shout out to Miss Kennedy. 1 race left. What is the track pick here for either Netherlands or USA? What are we expecting to see?
I mean, this was a USA West track pick, I believe. That Delfino Square hasn't worked out for them, so they might opt to go for something other than a sort of catch-up track. For Netherlands, I think we will see... Rainbow. Have we had TF or BCW in tours? Mac, obviously. Mac and I are AB available players. We would love to see Rainbow Road coming out. I think we'll see BCW. TF, I stand corrected.
Close enough.
Beach. Who, referencing the match you just brought up, Eirik, between CB and WZ, CB was down to WZ going into the last race and went with the Peach Beach, got the top 3, and took that week 1 match away from them. So,
well,
use that against them, but
to face their fit and pick Peach Beach, but it will be TF here.
This first lap, we got to talk about how important this first lap's going to be.
Yeah,
super important.
TK's,
life or death.
Yeah, TK starting off in 3rd. We'll want to keep a close eye on him as this evolves. Last race here. Is USA West going to be eliminated from the World Cup? The first time that a USA team in any form would be knocked out, period. And it'll be TK starting off in 5th here. And the banana off!
And it looks like Netherlands was able to hold that top 2, so if they're able to have some effective backspin, they can definitely size up that lead, and we already see first place breaking off by a bit.
That's Jack in first.
Jack up there. So this is only a 2-3 for Netherlands. 2-3-6 with Leops here. And
something else I'd like to mention is I think we saw Leo got knocked off on that TS ramp as well. So crucially, there is, at least on the face of it, I don't want to speak too soon, but I believe there is no bill being held at the moment by any member. And that changes the bagging battle ever so slightly in that it's a bit more risky to take boxes. But with these neutral spots, we might see both baggers opt to just sit behind the boxes at the moment.
Well, that's Bobby sitting at the last ramp. Neo coming back to him. And see if Bobby goes off that ramp. But we could see a USA shock here. Not sure yet. Could just be some little mind games here. And golden in 5th for Leops. See how he opts to use it. Gonna take the shroom cut. Thomas up there in 2nd. This is a 1-3-4 for USA.
Oh, Killua.
Sane dying a bit. Now 2-3. Doesn't look like anybody has shock though. This is a super tight pack with the exception of first place.
Here's the bill coming up. Leo, I believe, pulled that bill in 8th as we saw him fall off earlier. Jack is sitting very pretty in first place. And a shot coming in.
Shot coming in for USA. That's going to dodge TK.
That's going to be huge.
That's going to be absolutely huge.
Yeah.
So right now we're seeing a 1-3-4-5, I believe, for USA. TK moving into 2nd place. Killua in 3rd place. Holding on to a star in 2nd, but I don't think that'll make all that difference. It's 3 for USA.
God.
If this is top 3 for USA. This is going to be enough.
Look at the breakaway as well. Look at the minimap.
It's
the difference
top 2 break.
It's huge.
They are not catching this top 3.
This is a golden
this is
though.
3-4-5 for Netherlands.
3-4-5. Yeah, that actually could. That actually should be it for them if they are able to clutch this out. I think this will be
looks
enough.
Like they're gonna hold on to it.
No backsim. Shot comes in. Will it do anything?
I don't know. That's gonna.
I don't know. I don't know.
8th, though.
That's
it
not
might
enough.
come down to the baggers. We'll see who's able to get 9th.
If Netherlands
we got a nail biter here.
I just don't.
I think that might be enough for Netherlands, but that top 2 from USA is pretty huge.
Enough.
9th place is going to be so huge. You see them fighting at the back. One just got knocked back. I don't know who that was, but that might be just as important as well.
That could be the deal breaker.
13 points needed
for Netherlands.
That's not enough. No, that's the
Bobby there
Netherlands
9th. That might be a win by 2.
34. That is it. That is it for USA.